What makes a great game?
Close scores. Hilarious stories. When Supple loses. Crazy, unforgettable finishes.
So let's get to it.
9.
8.
7.
7.
6. 5. 4. Whatever. 4.
Everybody makes mistakes. Fantasy football is a game of mistakes. Whether you don't draft the right guy or start the right guy or pick up the right guy, everybody is constantly making mistakes. But sometimes these mistakes come from unforeseen sources. 10.
10.
Number 10. The stat correction game.
The next day, everyone thought Supple won. Everyone was talking about it everywhere, constantly. And I don't even think Odie realized it when he checked his phone, and he just happened to see that he won.
What was great about the game was that I assumed I had lost because on Tuesday the scores were set that I had lost the game by 1 point. So on Wednesday at school I was just checking my phone to review the game, go over any mistakes I may have made, and I was pleasantly surprised that I had gained 2 points out of thin air essentially, and that achieved a stunning victory. One of my best.
I like to think this is where the whole rivalry begins. All those weeks later on trace back to this date.
I'd just like to say this was completely going against the precedent set by the Elias Sports Bureau a couple of years ago where the same play happened and they did not rule it as a defensive fumble recovery.
Stafford to defense. Defense to fumble. Fumble to Scheffler. Scheffler to defense. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, suck it, Supple.
I remember the feeling of everyone I care about wanting me to fail horribly and historically.
9.
Number 9. The Omofs.
It's not a feeling I would wish upon anyone except maybe the person I was playing. Every action I took was sort of baiting me down this road of eternal destruction and embarrassment.
Frankly, it all started in week 14. Ben and I squaring off, one of us has to go to the Omofs. And I beat him. And just like that, the stage was set. CJ, Supple, Bob, and Ben. And what was going to be the most anticipated Omofs of our entire career.
The week before, I played the highest point scorer in the league. And this was supposed to be in one of the last place games.
Week 15, CJ defeats Supple, starting Cecil Shorts, a player who was declared inactive prior to the games. But CJ was too sleepy to remove him from the lineup. Or was it a brilliant ploy to just rub it in that much more? I mean, it was really a dream situation for me. On one hand, Ben gets the O, or Supple, my most heated rival. You could tell. He was gonna say, oh, I don't care, but you know, in his heart, he cares so much.
This game featured two people that could not be more deserving of this matchup. It was a beautiful setup by the fantasy football gods.
Oh, I knew. I most definitely knew that this was a dream come true for everyone else. My impending misery was a gift to the entire league.
So Supple thinks he can just go to Mexico to escape, to drink away his sorrows. but the Elm knows no country lines. It's an international trophy, given to the worst person in the world.
Thankfully, Supple's team didn't even try to win. Alfred Morris was his leading scorer with 14 points. Come on. They wanted him to lose. Why is this even here? No one cared about this game. The game people cared about was on a video game console. Like, the game itself was boring.
Number 8. A tie?
Thomas and Craig?
Tell you what, man, back in my day, we didn't have no Madden NFL football. We played Tecmo Bowl on the Nintendo. Man, let's go back to those days. Honestly, I was there. This was one of the more exciting Madden games I've ever seen. Craig and Thomas, two of the most equally talented Madden players. Not saying they're good, but equally talented. Craig had just bought the game like a week before. He didn't know what he was doing. Thomas came out, he was running fullback dives with Bruce Miller. It was crazy. But then, Larry takes over the game. He puts the team on his back and carries Craig to victory. Yeah, I mean, this is what the league is all about. It's about the craziness of a Madden game between two people who aren't even that good, but either of them has a chance to win, and it's super entertaining, and I think that is one of the best aspects of our league.
I was very nervous coming into this Madden game, but I could feel the sweat in my hands holding that controller, chucking the balls up to Larry. Larry put up a monster game.
Honestly, I think the reason why this is so high is this was the first tie in our league's history. We've all been looking forward to it. We're all waiting for a Madden game. Honestly, none of us knew what was going to happen. It was exciting. It was new. It was a great game.
Who's even making this list?
Joe Flacco! Steven Jackson! Dustin Colquitt.
7.
Number 7. Another tie?
A couple weeks before this game, I traded my quarterback and my top 2 running backs to Edwards. And I never thought they'd come back to bite me so quickly. Edwards had a number of ridiculous things go his way in order to force this tie. Steven Jackson, arguably the worst running back in the NFL, scores 18 points against the mighty 49ers defense. When does that happen?
This game is huge. Casey wins this game, his magic number goes to 1. Edwards just somehow managed to cling on to just another series of improbable victories this season.
Joe Flacco scores 29 points. I don't think Joe Flacco's ever scored 29 points. So Monday night, I'm up by 11. All Edwards has left is his boy, Dustin Colquitt. A punter. This was the first year our league had punters. Who knew there were going to be such a huge impact so early? Colquitt had done it before. He was going against the Steelers. You can punt on that defense, that's for sure. And then his last 2 punts. One punt inside the 10, and then his last punt with about 5 minutes left in the game. Buries it inside the 20, driving a dagger into my hopes. Tying the game. I think this game, possibly out of every single game Edwards has ever played, perfectly exemplifies his fantasy skill in that he was solely based on his almost impossible luck. But you gotta give it to him. That's what he's good at. Madden against Edwards with RG3 at quarterback who I just traded him. I had no chance. That game was a beat down.
Sometimes you get lucky in a season. Sometimes you get to play someone in Madden. Sometimes you get to play someone in Madden twice. Sometimes you're Edwards. I was literally at my lowest low of my entire life.
Natalie.
6.
Number 6. The Puke Game.
There's just so many bad things about this game. I hate this game. One of my closest friends was watching the game with me, and it was torture. Puking my guts out, about to get eliminated for the first time in fantasy football.
I mean, all that I really remember about this game was Ben bitching constantly about, oh, I'm sick, step it up. This is the big leagues.
There was another voice in the room telling me how much I sucked, and how stupid I am, and how I should stop throwing up.
It was hilarious. Ben puking in an orange bucket as his team just crumbles beneath him. At another point of the game, Josh Scobie is lined up for a 50-plus yard field goal, a very missable kick. Could lose a point here, bring Ben right back into the game. They're lining up for it on the edge of our seats, and the long snapper airmails the snap. It goes about 50 yards past the holder, turnover on downs, don't even get to attempt the field goal. I think this definitely deserves to be higher on the list. This was just such a moment that just perfectly epitomized both of those people's moments in their lives right there. Really transcended the game. It was a huge moment in our first year, really solidified. Honestly, the better divisions, 2 playoff spots, definitely deserves to be higher on this list.
Cam Newton went for 37 points this week off 3 one-yard rushing touchdowns. Come on, Buccaneers. Are you kidding me?
Just because you have a little cold doesn't mean you get a pass in a game. No, every week you have to bring it. But whatever, I think this game's way overrated. Yeah, not even close for me.
Dun, 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 dun.
Once in every man's life,
Dun, 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 dun.
he must rise to the challenge.
Ba-na-na-na-na.
He must answer the call.
Ba-na.
One man did, and one man didn't.
Na-na-na. Na-na-na.
5.
Number 5. The Suck My Dick Supple Game.
This might be my personal favorite game of all time.
There was a lot of pressure this week on both people. There was a lot of shit talking going on, and both of us knew that whoever lost was gonna have to live it down for the rest of his life, essentially.
Week 1, the stage was set. Odie and Supple. It was the matchup that everybody was waiting for.
The video. Oh my.
Supple says he hasn't seen it, but that is complete bullshit. We all know he's actually seen it.
Absolutely, there was a whole build-up to the game, the off-the-field drama. Honestly, the game itself wasn't that great. In the bigger pictures of 2012, these are 2 6-8, sub-500 teams. Not even that high scoring. Odie brags in his video. He scored the 3rd most points that week.
It's really not that impressive. It's like making out with your cousin. We've all done it.
It's not that great. Obviously, it's a great game, one we're going to remember, but I don't know if it should be this high on the list. Don't get me wrong. The reason why this game is so high is because of the video Odie made. And let me tell you, that video is quite something. It's a great video, not gonna lie. It was beautiful. I laughed. I cried. It truly made me a better person watching it.
People are still talking about it today. I haven't gone a week without watching it.
For me, my best memory of the game was coming to school that Tuesday and going up to talk to someone. You could tell he just did not want to talk about it. He was thoroughly emasculated, and it was pretty hilarious. But the icing on the cake was when the entire front quad gave me a round of applause for my victory.
It's a benchmark for this league, and that's why I think this is such an important game.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was a good game. Good video. Hard fought. Don't think it should be this high on the list.
Special thanks to Supple for sucking dick. The Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
All y'all should have gotten Jamal, baby!
4. 4. Whatever.
Number 4. The classic Craig game. Seriously, just fuck Jamal Charles. Like, that was fucking ridiculous. Alright, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out of here.
51 points in a playoff game from Jamal Charles. We were all watching the game together, and it was just cut to replay from the Raiders-Chiefs game. Touchdown Jamal Charles.
Tell you what, man, this ain't no regular season football game. This is playoff football. That's what you want to see out there. Jamal Charles, 51 points. That's what I like to call a Gruden grinder. That's what you love to see, man. Tell you what, 51 points playoffs. Love me some football. I love me some Jamal Charles, man.
Monday night, Calvin Johnson needed about 6 points. We were all playing football together, and halftime comes, and he doesn't have it yet. And so this game, which we all thought was a sure thing, Calvin's been tearing it up, was not a sure thing anymore, and Odie got to Craig the best way he could, which was by saying, "There's no way you could lose."
Another reason why this game is so important. This game ushered in a new member of our league. I'm talking, of course, about Playoff Craig, the persona Craig takes whenever he's in the playoffs. Personally, this is one of my favorite Craigs. He'll just say things, no one knows why he's saying them, but, oh, he will say those things. That is just the beauty of Playoff Craig.
Touchdown Jamal Charles.
Jamal, if you somehow, some way, see this clip of me talking, I will literally suck your dick. Jamal, I do not know how you did it. You are my guy. Jamal, you are my guy. Jamal, I will literally suck your dick. You are my guy.
Touchdown Jamal Charles.
Suck your dick. You have been there through thick and thin with me, and it is just incredible how you just stepped up for me big time. You're awesome. Thank you.
Touchdown Jamal Charles. 4 screen pass touchdowns. That's gotta be a record. The Raiders are awful. Just as impressive as scoring 51 points with 1 player is scoring 5 points with 4 players. Charles Clay, Donald Brown, Saints defense, and Bobby Rainey accounted for 5 points to go along with Jamal Charles' 51 points.
You said I couldn't lose. You said I couldn't lose.
Number 3. The You Said I Couldn't Lose game.
So it all started Thursday, talking to Craig before school, and he's like, "Oh no, I need to start Derek Sproles, he has a game tonight." I'm like, "Craig, that's not how it works. You can only start like one running back there, like after Sproles plays, like you can't start somebody else who's playing Sunday."
This game had it all. It had a heroic comeback. It had a ridiculous storyline. It had someone not even knowing how to play almost win. That's kind of the theme of our league, really. And it all happened on Monday night.
Craig literally didn't know how the lineup system worked at this point in his fantasy career. It was quite phenomenal that he'd even made it this far.
This game has got to be higher.
And then there was Monday. Craig just kept complaining during like all of lunch, like, "Oh no, this is terrible." I'm like, "Craig, you are up by so many points. You're gonna win this week." Craig takes my words very literally, it appears. And I come home later that night. I turn on the TV. First play I see, a 99-yard touchdown pass from Brady to Welker.
Brady to Welker. 99 yards to a 5'4" white receiver. He breaks a tackle and seemingly goes 75 more yards untouched. This guy's not that fast. He's quick, but just a sheer miracle on the gridiron.
That cornerback got fired the next day. I remember seeing that on ESPN.
Greg's team is just falling out beneath it. In the second game that night, Sebastian Janikowski ties the NFL record for longest field goal. Just a nice coup de grace to Craig's first game here. So then what does he do after he loses? Does he handle defeat like a man? Of course not. That wouldn't make this game memorable. He takes it to Facebook and he complains, "You do not understand how mad I am at you right now, Casey." And then he adds on later, and I quote, "You said that I was going to win and that it was possible for Eric to win, and then there was my lineup. So starting Darren Sproles or Mark Ingram was very stupid, so I switched them. No, we will discuss this matter further tomorrow. And at the end of the day, you got my hopes up so high, and after this loss, it hurt 10 times as bad as it should."
First game in my fantasy football career. It was a rough one, I'll be honest. Going into Monday night, pretty much the first game in my fantasy football career. I thought I had the victory, but my hopes were shot down. So frustrated. 2011 Craig, he does have some regrets. And maybe Facebook wasn't the ideal place to put my anger.
Well, Facebook is a great place to take out your anger.
I still was very, very frustrated after that game.
Tell you what, man, this ain't the type of fantasy game I want to see. Points, touchdowns everywhere. I want to see more defense out there. I want them pulling out that Tampa 2 defense. I tell you, that would have shut down those receivers. Jordy Nelson ain't scoring all those points if you got the Tampa 2 defense with Derrick Brooks out there. Tell you what, man, I'd like to see that. Derrick Brooks and that Tampa 2 going against Jordy Nelson in the snow.
Number 2. The shootout at Supples. You know, going into this championship matchup, a lot of us felt that neither team was worthy of the title, but they showed us all wrong.
This game was a thriller throughout the whole thing, back and forth.
With the still highest scoring game in our league's history in the championship, this was one to remember. We were all together and we were truly awed with the unbelievable performances by both teams, where a certain chocolate bear emerged victorious.
Todd. I'm gonna have to disagree with him on this one. This game was played in week 17. It's an amateur week to be playing fantasy football. These players shouldn't be putting up numbers. Matt Flynn went for about 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. Just an example of why this game means absolutely nothing. These teams still worthless. This game overrated, which is not in my top 5 big board of most important games of the 2011 through the 2013 years.
And the cast of characters that were in it, the Misfits, the Cast-Offs, the Aaron Edwardses and the CJ Abaras of the world. Who saw that coming? But back and forth they went all Sunday. Points being scored by everybody. Michael Turner scoring like 30 points in the first half. It was crazy.
One of the best parts of the game was Michael Turner getting pulled for Jacquizz Rodgers in the goal line. Michael Turner is a human steamroller, and by that I mean he doesn't go very quickly. But he's great for falling on the goal line, don't get me wrong. Jacquizz Rodgers is like a meerkat. He's very quick and agile, but ultimately will get decimated if he gets hit by any linebacker like a meerkat would. But they put in Jacquizz Rodgers inexplicably in like the second quarter, and there he is, Michael Turner. What the hell am I doing here? Sunday night, Cowboys-Giants.
One of the best players in this game was Victor Cruz, who had an unbelievable yards after catch game, totaling over 100. One of the many receivers in this game who simply exploded. Interestingly enough, Cam Newton, who had a monster rookie year, had destroyed all of us, fell on his face in the championship game, only scoring 11 points. One of the few disappointing players in this matchup, and might have ultimately cost Edwards the title.
I've been watching football since I was a mere fetus in my mother's womb, and now I truly believe this game could have been one of the best fantasy games ever. A beatdown, a worthless game that means so much, a pulled quarterback, a fumble that winds up as a touchdown, a punt that is misplayed, a punt that is misspotted.
Number 1. The refs?
I don't even know where to begin with this game. I lose, again, to Casey. Again. The biggest rivalry, the biggest names, the best division, one of the closest games, Monday Night Football.
This was the week. You know, they say every great man has his water balloon. That is, every great man except for me.
Can't beat this game, man. I was unstoppable in 2012. I had 5 weeks in a row scoring the most points. I had an 8-game winning streak, which I do completely give credit to Sam Anderson Vagina for that streak. As long as we were dating, I was winning. So
I destroyed Ben. Scoreboard might not say I destroyed him, but emotionally this was the best way to defeat him.
But I had kryptonite this year. I lost 1 game in 2012 to someone other than Casey. Against the rest of the league, 12-1.
Crazy stuff happening all week. Bryce Brown, who looked like the future of running backs in the NFL, he was coming off 2 monster weeks, scoring 24, 26 points. How many points did he score week 14? 0 points. And who else scored 0 points? Larry Fitzgerald. Guess whose team he was on? Woo!
But against Casey, I was 0-3. In week 4, by 2 points, it was another Monday night game where he came back with an incredible victory. Like in every game I play Casey, his defense shows up and dropped 22 points on me. So it was only a 17-point difference in probably the greatest defensive game of all time.
That Monday night game was so stressful. I had the big lead, but as we knew at this point, no lead is safe on Monday night. Ben had Tom Brady, Aaron Hernandez before he was convicted of murder, and Steven Gostkowski, one of the best kickers in the game, going up against the Texans. And the namesake of my team, Arian Foster, one of my favorite players in the league. This game is just a beatdown. Tom's doing whatever he wants all over the field. The first touchdown pass, the Texans literally didn't guard Aaron Hernandez, and he just threw it right to him. It had a feeling that everything was going to unravel. But then, later in the game, third quarter, the Texans are down big.
Danny Woodhead fumbles the ball, shooting it into the end zone.
They get the ball down to the goal line through a series of penalties. And
Brandon Lloyd picks it up and is like, oh, I can catch the ball for the first time the entire year, and scores a touchdown, which then doesn't count as a touchdown from Tom Brady. So I only get 1 point from Steven Gostkowski.
big gains. First and goal. They decide to pass the ball to Owen Daniels, but the pass is incomplete. So what do? They hand it off to Arian Foster to score the useless touchdown. Boy, was it glorious.
I actually took the lead at one point, and then Foster scores a touchdown. Still, all signs are pointing to my offense firing all cylinders and Casey's sputtering out, to my eventual victory and knocking him out of the playoffs.
Now, Ben Savage is a dear friend of mine. We all respect him as a fantasy football player. But in the playoffs, when you need to win a game, it's me to win the playoffs.
They pulled Tom Brady. They put in Ryan Mount. For some reason, they thought they had the game in the bag. It was like 45-7 at this point, and all hell breaks loose for me then. But in my head, I actually was still winning this game because there was a punt in the Packers-Lions game earlier on that week that I thought was inside the 10. I watched it with my own eyes. Later on, I saw video evidence.
The thing I remember most about this matchup was me, Ben, and Casey all rewatching the punt over and over and over again and seeing where he caught it. Now, the funny thing is, he fair catches it inside the 10. However, the ball was spotted outside the 10. And then Ben wanted to complain to Elias, but he realized it was all for naught. It was a ref mistake, and those have no effects on stats.
Agreeing with me that it was in fact inside the 10, but the ref misspotted a fair fucking catch. Okay, he's standing still, and he's clearly inside 10 yards, which would have given me 3 more points, which would have led to a victory for Win Direction. But no points came.
Now Ben Savage has proven himself as a commodity in the Ben Really Sucks division, and we all know he's a great fantasy football player when there's no pressure. But in crunch time, when he needs to giddy up and saddle that horse to ride off into the sunset, he belongs nowhere near the computer. He should stay far away because he does not belong in the playoffs.
This game was unbelievable.
No, I'd just like to say that when I pulled Tom, it was very late in the game. The game was all trying to win the game. I coach an NFL football team. I don't coach a fantasy football team. We were trying to win. Tom didn't roll. Decided to put Ryan out there for the final series. There's plenty of time just because we've been on the stretch. I believe I handled the situation quite well. Tom did his job. We all did the job. We got the W. That's all that matters. Next question, please.
Every once in a while, there's a game that defines the league. The characters, the storylines, the motives, the consequences. It all comes together. This is one of those games that transcends football and transcends life.
Oh yeah, definitely got to be number one. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Number one for sure.
There aren't enough impersonations, statistics, or speeches that can entirely encompass what this game meant to the world.
I disagree.
I've covered the Olympics, I've covered the Winter Olympics, I've covered baseball for over 30 years, and I've never seen something truly as moving as this game. I think this ranking is terrible.
Yeah, this has definitely got to be my number one pick for best game ever. I think this is super overrated. I don't understand who made this list and why they would put this game so high.
I don't really watch football for the scores, and I don't really understand what fantasy football is since I don't pay attention to it since it has nothing to do with the gay rights movement. But I think this game should be number one. Both these teams did well in the kitchen, but let's see if they can handle the heat of the grill. I watch a lot of Saints games back in between cooking gumbo and jambalaya for my family. And boom! Kick it up a notch. Arian Foster taking the lead back from Win Direction.
This game was beautiful, beautiful, it's true. When I saw Arian Foster on the goal line, I knew exactly what to do. I knew Casey would screw you.